Hello there guys, what is going on? Son of Chelsea back here again for another edition of Let's Talk Chelsea. Hope you're doing well and keeping safe on this Monday. Always a better Monday after a Chelsea win in the Premier League. Going to get into some of that in today's video with some of the topics. Going to be speaking about a Thiago Silva injury update when he'll return, and we'll look at that back three so far, how that's going to cope without Thiago Silva with some big games coming up for Chelsea. Also a price set for Ross Barkley, currently on loan at Aston Villa. Will he move there permanently in the summer? And finally looking at Timo Werner's good performance last night and how Chelsea can get the best out of the struggling striker. But before we get into any of that good stuff, I want to ask you guys, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also hit the like button if you're enjoying the content, because it helps out the channel as well. Also, as I did last week, I want to thank you Lucid FC for sponsoring Let's Talk Chelsea in 2021. Official partners for Let's Talk Chelsea in 2021, the fashion sponsor for Son of Chelsea as well this year, and also gonna have some brilliant offers in the coming weeks as we get closer to that massive Champions League game. So make sure you check out Lucid FC in the description box below. The link will be there, and as viewers of my channel, gonna have some exclusive promotional offers for you guys to use. So thank you once again Lucid FC for sponsoring Let's Talk Chelsea in 2021. But let's get into the first story, which is about Thiago Silva. You know, there are many good players last night, or at least players that I felt had encouraging games, like Andreas Christensen in Chelsea's defence. Another win for Thomas Tuchel, 3 wins in a row, 3 wins in 7 days. So there's not a lot to complain about. But one concerning element is the injury of Thiago Silva, who I think, along with Mason Mount, has been Chelsea's best performer this season and is right in the running for Player of the Year when we get to May. And it's a bit of a shame, really, because as Tuchel's come in, as you felt the confidence has been boosted in this squad, lacking him now for a couple games, it is going to be really detrimental. And it's really on those centre-backs who do replace Thiago, especially Christensen, to step up, which they did last night, which is good. But we're waiting to see when he'll return. And Simon Johnson yesterday tweeting after Tuchel's post-match comment, Tuchel has said that Chelsea have set an ambitious target of Thiago Silva returning from a thigh injury against Southampton on February the 20th. He says club are fighting for every day. If any doubt, surely he'll be saved for Atletico on February the 23rd. Even that may come too early. I just want to shout out On Form Football, a brilliant account on Instagram which goes into injuries for players, as you can see on screen now. Please go and check out their account in the description box below, friend of the channel, and it really goes into detail on this injury from Thiago Silva and a lot more information. And I think as fans, sometimes we don't quite understand injuries, the extent to injuries, what they mean, how long players will be out for, how serious they actually are. And in this post, he goes into a lot of details. I just want to read you segments from it because it gives you a lot more explanation. He says, based on the healing times advised and Silva's immediate reaction, I suspect a grade 2 tear to his rectus femoris. Grade 2 tears are expected to last 2 to 4 weeks, depending on the amount of fibers involved. Rest, ice, and compression will be the first port of call in terms of initial management, followed by a gradual loading through strength work, and lastly, functional and sport-specific training. The club's primary goal will be attempting to have Silva ready for the Atletico Madrid game in just over 2 weeks, although I suspect this fixture will likely come too soon. Silva is a huge loss for Tuchel, and it'll be interesting to see if he adapts his formation to accommodate this. So not having Thiago Silva is a big loss, it really is. I mean, all those concerns we had when he arrived in the summer about him adapting to the Premier League have been completely unfounded. The pedigree and class of this player is unmatched. It's incredible. I've said this many times before, and it's a bit of an easy point for a Chelsea fan to make, but it feels like at times having JT back, like 14-15 JT back, the anticipation, the movement, the leadership, the class is just incredible. It really is. And as I said before, talking about his injury and the extent of his injury currently, it's on those players behind him to make an impact, to prove that they should be in the first team. Christensen for me is the main one, because in the middle of a back three, you want someone who has that passing range, has the elegance or comfort on the ball. You think about David Luiz in the middle of a front three for Antonio Conte, and Christensen, as we saw under Conte when he made his sort of full breakthrough into the Chelsea first team, really done well. And it's such a shame in recent years how I feel he struggled, and it may be just a case of his attributes. As I've said before, my concern over his physicality, and especially in the Premier League, having 2 centre-backs next to him in a back three probably suits his game a lot better. And I felt against a really tough physical battle, Christensen asserted himself well. I like to see Zouma brought back into this team. I know Rudiger, of course, is very easy after his own goal last night to sort of rubbish him, but I feel that overall his performance, I think he made up for that own goal in truth by some of the big blocks he made. But I feel Zouma, especially from corners as well, I mean, that's something that's frustrated me defensively and offensively from Chelsea recently, is when we don't have Kurt on the pitch, our abilities to attack teams and create chances from corners have just completely evaporated. You Mason's still putting in decent deliveries, but without Kurt in there, I feel that's a threat that probably Tuchel should be relying on a lot more, especially in games like last night where Chelsea are not creating bundles of opportunities in front of goal. I think that's an avenue we could go down, and I still think Kurt Zouma, apart from Thiago Silva, is Chelsea's strongest centre-back. So we'll have to see if Kurt Zouma can find his way back into the starting 11 if he gets a chance to impress against Barnsley. Given his age, given how long injuries take for older players to recover from, and the worst thing we want is to rush him back. I think that's been the issue with Chelsea in recent years, even under different coaches, is rushing players back too quickly. They get re-injured and they're not the same player, and we missed him for a longer period of time. So I'm pretty sure they're going to be monitoring the situation very closely. Let's hope he's ready for that Atletico Madrid game. Let me know your opinions on Thiago Silva, his injury, and the current centre-back situation in the comments below. Next, I want to talk about a lone player in Ross Barkley doing so well for Aston Villa this season, and apparently Chelsea have set their asking price for Barkley if Aston Villa want to make the deal permanent in the summer. This comes from 90 Min Football, and they claim if Villa want to seal a permanent transfer for Barkley, 90 Min understands that Chelsea will ask for a fee in the region of 40 million. That would mean Villa smashing their existing transfer record, which stands at the 28 million plus add-ons deal to sign Ollie Watkins last summer. I'm really happy for Ross Barkley. I think he's having a really strong season for Aston Villa, and Villa all round are having a really strong season as well. And it's just another of the great signings they made. Ollie Watkins, Ross Barkley, Emi Martinez. They've made so many good additions to that squad, and it's why they're flourishing in the Premier League and exceeding expectations at the moment. He's had 4 goals in 15 appearances this season. I think 1 or 2 of those were for Chelsea before he made that loan deal back in September, but has suffered from injury recently, but is back in the Villa team now. Scored a really good goal against Southampton the other week as well. I'm just intrigued with Barkley, and I want to hear your thoughts on this as well with some of the loan players, and I think Ruben probably falls in the same category of this. With a change in manager, with a change in system, the way it looks like, at least for now, with that 3-back system, and even I think maybe if we change to a 4, having sort of roaming number 10s and sort of a fluid front 3, I'd be intrigued to see if Ross Barkley could come back to Chelsea and thrive in this system. Given Mason Mount's involvement and the fact that Mason is now looking a lot more advanced than, say, a typical number 8 like he was in the 4-3-3 system under Frank Lampard, players of his ilk are going to get more opportunities, and I just wonder Ross Barkley's involvement with Aston Villa, getting in front of goals, scoring goals, could he thrive at Chelsea under Thomas Tuchel? I'd be intrigued to see that happen. I think from the business side of things, is 40 million a bit too much? In the current market with the pandemic, is that going to drastically alter and suddenly teams are going to be willing to spend a lot more in the summer? I'm not entirely sure, and it's this issue Chelsea have currently of selling unwanted players. And Ross Barkley, I've always said, is a bit of a win-win situation for Chelsea because he's basically a guaranteed profit. From the moment we signed him from Everton in 2018 for 15 million, we knew Chelsea were probably going to sell him for more, and that's brilliant. And 40 million, given the fact we signed him for 15 million, would be a great piece of business. And as we saw last summer, Aston Villa very willing to spend big amounts of money to improve their first team, so they could do that again. And it seems like Barkley has settled. The relationship with Jack Grealish is wonderful. I love watching that partnership on the pitch, so I wouldn't be too stunned if Barkley decides I'm going to stay at Aston Villa because I'm guaranteed first team football here, and he could get into the England squad under Gareth Southgate for the Euros as well. I'm just intrigued to see when we get to the summer whether he returns to Chelsea, and as we've seen with other players, if Chelsea can't sell them, they stay. It becomes a very bloated squad, and we've seen the issue with that this year. But Tuchel is showing at the moment with a bloated squad, he's using a lot of players very well. So could Barkley be one of those players next season? Let me know in the comments below. And finally, I want to talk about Timo Werner, who, despite not scoring last night, I think had a very good game. I gave him man of the match. I saw my poll that I put up for you guys to vote on in the community page, and you guys were basically unanimous in saying that Timo Werner was man of the match as well. And he set up the first goal for Mason Mount, won the penalty for Jorginho to score, eventually Chelsea winning the game 2-1 against Sheffield United last night. And I think that Timo's game, I don't think he's doing a lot wrong. This is something I've spoken about for a few weeks now. Timo, my issue with struggling strikers in the past with Chelsea is their whole sort of mentality on the pitch when it's going wrong for them, and the rest of their game deteriorates. I'm not seeing that from Werner, and I think in this system under Thomas Tuchel, I think Werner, it's not too far away now, him getting back to goal scoring form. But if he can't score a goal, this is the thing with Chelsea strikers, if you can't score a goal, it's about impacting the game in a positive way, either creating space for other players, setting up a goal, or winning a penalty, and that's something something Timo Werner did last night to great effect for Chelsea. This brilliant piece by Liam Toomey sort of dissecting the game and looking at Timo Werner and why giving Werner space will help Chelsea win games even when he doesn't score really goes into it. And I just want to pick out a quote from Timo Werner last night after the game. This is what he had to say. "Now I play as a left 10, not a left winger, so I have more space for the runs in the middle." He told Sky Sports after the match, "I can play behind a striker with a number 10 behind me, so it's good for me." And the way Tuchel has set up the team so far, it still looks to me consistently like a 3-5-2. You have one player. Last night, actually, it looked more in average positions like Olivier Giroud because he had to sort of force himself to come deep to get the ball because Sheffield United's high press sort of took Giroud out of the game. And of course, he doesn't have that blistering pace to get in behind defences. So it still looked like Mason and Timo were actually ahead of Olivier Giroud, and Giroud was sort of the number 10 trying to link up play. And we're seeing that more and more. And I do feel that Tuchel wants a more fluid, interchangeable front three, whether that's Callum, Mason. I actually think Tuchel's maybe a little bit frustrated that Kai Havertz has got injured recently because I feel that's another player that very seamlessly will fit into this. And you could see him start as sort of the false 9 as we saw at Leverkusen to great effect, but he actually maybe drops a little bit deeper. The way that front three I think moves and interchanges with the likes of Timo Werner. I've said this with Timo before, he's such a unique player, he's such a unique forward, you can't treat him like Costa, like Drogba, like Giroud, it just won't work. You can't expect him to have the same effect. You have to try and build a team around him in a sense, or build an attack that can get the best out of him, and that was something Tuchel said before the Burnley game, and I think it's starting to work even if Timo isn't finding the back of the net yet. I also want to look at that first goal once again last night because Ben Chilwell's involvement to me is very intriguing, and we're trying to think of ways to get the best out of Timo Werner in this team and get him into positions where he can be really devastating in the final third. So as you can see here, Ben Chilwell's curled ball round to Timo Werner, who eventually laid it back to Mason Mount to score the first goal. And this reminded me a lot of Timo Werner's first Premier League goal for Chelsea against Southampton back in October. If you remember that goal, and I'll put it up on screen now. Another Ben Chilwell assist, an assist through to Timo Werner, bypassing Southampton's midfield and their defence, allowing Timo Werner to make runs onto the ball. That's where you need Timo. You need him running onto the ball. He's back to goal. He's not going to do anything effective. He needs to be making those darting runs in behind the defence, and that's what he's doing. And I think Ben Chilwell's ability to do that in the final third over Marcus Alonso. There's so much talk about Marcus Alonso's ability in the final third to score goals, but I think this is why Ben, who needs to improve defensively, and Ben was quite lucky last night because, of course, he nearly conceded the penalty that eventually got overturned by VAR for an offside. But I think offensively, Ben Chilwell could be the key to unlocking Werner a lot more, making those passes in behind the defence for Timo to run onto from sort of that left forward position. I think really works out. And I think all round, I think influencing games is so key. I saw some people sort of detrimenting Timo Werner's performance last night. I mean, Graham Souness for some reason was triggered by Timo Werner last night. I don't know why. I think the key for me is if Graham Souness is annoyed by a player, that probably means he's doing something right on the pitch. And Timo Werner winning penalties for Chelsea consistently. I think he's getting back to full form. His mentality, his work rate on the pitch. I don't see a player shirking responsibility or trying to hide away from things. He seems to be getting into those right positions and creating good moments for Chelsea. So Timo Werner, I think, is on the brink of scoring a big goal again for Chelsea, and I think in the system it's going to get the best out of him under Thomas Tuchel. Let me know your opinions on Timo Werner in the comments below. But that is it for this edition of Let's Talk Chelsea. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch it. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and a notification bell so you never miss an upload. Follow me on Twitter at SonOfChelsea. Have a great day, and I'll see you again.